Hello, it's Daryl at 10 Foot Truck, Good Attitude Services. Today is a beautiful spring day. It's April 5th. The weather has changed, so this weekend's going to be nice. It probably might go down to cool weather again, but for this weekend it's going to be nice. Last week I did some yard work for a repeat customer, so the yard work is coming back, doing yard maintenance and stuff like that. I did a washer and dryer pickup delivery for a repeat customer. They manage properties, so I'm going to be picking that up again and delivering to another apartments because they own apartments and they stuff like that. Those are good customers to have. And then I was doing my taxes too. I'm running a little bit late on my taxes, but I was doing those. And I was noticing some things last year as I'm looking through my calendar and my worksheet and all the jobs I've done and expenses and things like that. And one thing that stood out for me was that last year, I'm in a new area, so I've been here for 5 years, so I'm trying to build this area, get the repeat customers, and get you're just like everywhere else, you want to get those relationships with property managers and repeat customers. And I've noticed that this year, as I look back, it's always good to look back when you're doing your taxes and stuff, to look back at the year before to see how things worked and how they're going to work for you the next year. And I did notice one thing that stood out was that about half of my jobs were from that went throughout the year were from the same customer. So there was 4 or 5, maybe a little bit, I think maybe 4 or 5 customers that were consistent throughout the year. And this year, starting out, they're already calling me for projects, like I said, for landscape cleanup, various house projects, like I said, deliveries, appliance deliveries and stuff. So I'm starting to notice that's carrying off into this year. So those same customers, so I'm going to keep those customers. Now, one of the customers did drop off. I did have a regular delivery. I think I talked about it in one of my other videos. I had a regular I was delivering pallets of materials, and I did that all year, and then that just stopped because I think they ended up buying a vehicle and doing it themselves. But so that one stopped. That didn't continue. But the one customer with the that has the apartments, they're continuing on. Hopefully, I just recently did a job for them, and the other customer that has me do projects around their house, she has me do a lot of. They have a fairly large yard and a lot of stuff that needs to be taken care of on their property, so they started up on that one. And then last time I worked over there, they did a bunch of yard cleanup. She did say that she's going to be needing me to come back, so that's good to know. So I'll be coming back again this summer, and I did a lot of work for them last summer, so that kept me busy. So between those 2 customers, the other customer was dropped off, and then I had one other customer that was pretty regular. Here comes a train, so it's going to be loud. Just warning you. I might have to stop the video. It depends on. I live really close to the trains. If it does blast off, I'll pause the video and start it up. Let me stop it here. Okay, I had to pause the video because the train. The train's still going by, but I live close to the track, so when that horn goes, man, it can really. I don't want that to be in the video because it's fairly loud, especially when it gets right here. It can blow your ears out half the time. I love the trains. I love watching them come by. It's interesting to me. I've always been around the trains. I grew up next to the trains when I was a kid, and we used to watch the people riding the trains. We always loved looking at the trains. In fact, my neighbor was a train engineer, so he traveled. He showed us the engine compartment and all that. So I love trains. They're great, but they can be loud. So I don't know if you can hear me now. The train's coming by. I don't know how long. These freight trains are going. They go long. They have a lot of cars. They haul a lot of stuff. It's fairly interesting to watch what they haul. Anyway, that's besides the point. Talking about my repeat customers, and so I've noticed a trend, and that I'm keeping some more consistent customers, which is good for me because that's kind of what I want to do. Another thing I noticed too is I looked at my percentage of, because I have to write off when you're writing off taxes, you write off expenses. And I noticed that my marketing has significantly gone much. it's much more reasonable. I spent a lot less on marketing this year than I did previous years. At least that's what I'm pretty sure. But I noticed it's about a 10%. I think it was around around a 10% of my overall earnings. I think about 10% of what I had to spend on. I'll have to look back at it, but it's a pretty small percentage going into marketing and advertising. So I advertise on Craigslist mostly, and I noticed that some of the jobs, like that's why I like Craigslist, because it's only $5, and I've gotten some really good jobs. I mean, some of the jobs that I've done for $5 have turned into years of work and thousands of dollars. So it does help to just put those ads out, see what you're going to get, because you never know. And I still do like doing Craigslist ads, plus I do my Google, but I do enjoy the Craigslist opportunity. Now, of course, I'm not going to, I want to get into, there are, sometimes when you do put Craigslist ads, you're going to get calls that are just fake, and I'm sure everybody knows about those. You just got to be aware of that. It's one of those things when you're advertising on that site. I'm not saying it's exclusively to Craigslist, because Craigslist has done me good for many years, but there are times when people go on there and they have these phony jobs, and I'm sure that happens with all. It's just not exclusively to Craigslist, but I mainly do for Craigslist, so that's what I've noticed here and there. You gotta be careful. Just like anything, there's always people calling. My phone gets so many scam calls. Not specifically from Craigslist. I think probably from a lot of different things that when you go on the internet. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but somehow my phone number's been in systems, because you got to use your phone number when you're on the internet, when you're doing forms and different things or whatever, when you're going on. But I got on some job sites looking for some W-2 jobs. I'm sure I had to, who knows where your phone number ends up. Maybe you answer a survey or something, and then pretty soon you get phone calls. So you got to be aware of that too. I get a lot of calls that it's just people trying to sell stuff, and also people trying to sell services, which I have no problem with that. Just like I'm trying to sell my service, but there will be people who call, asking if I need this kind of system, or if I want to do this SEO, whatever it is, or just about anything to do with business. They'll call you for that when they see your ad. So that's just part of the deal. But anyway, I don't know why I was talking about that, but. For the repeat customers, I noticed a trend. So things are looking good. And I got a long ways to go. I mean, as far as getting more and more repeat customers that I want, and better advertising too. I want to take another step above. I want to go into other advertising too this year. So that's about it. Trying to think. I think that's the main things I was thinking about, was looking at the costs, looking at my past expenses, just overall you'll start to see a trend, and then I'm doing the numbers on that to see, projecting if that's going to stay the same. Like if I'm going to keep these same repeat customers throughout the year, that's going to be a pretty good percentage of what I make. So that's good, and just adding more of those, because I do like those customers. I've always been lucky enough to get these type of repeat customers in all the regions that I've worked in. In my last region, I was doing I've worked in 3 different metro areas as far as independent self-employment, moving and hauling. I've worked in 3 different metro areas throughout the last almost 18 years or so. So I've moved around a bit, and I've moved back and forth between some metros. Now I'm here I hope to be here longer than normally. Usually I'll be there for 10. Well, I was in one metro area for like 5, and then 5, and then kind of went back and forth. But anyway, with my one of my original metro areas that I started doing self-employed moving labor, and then it led into getting a truck. I did end up, when things were going really bad, like it was around the time of 2008, I just started doing my moving labor services, because I had started in Seattle, and then I moved south down into the Portland area, and now I'm in the Spokane area. So there's 3 different metro regions, and they're all different sizes. Seattle is the biggest region, of course, and then Portland's second, and this is a smaller region out here. So, of course, it's going to be a slower start because population does matter when you're advertising. So anyway, when I was down in the Portland region, there was a kind of a boom in that area at that time, but then all of a sudden, it was around 2008 when we had the real estate crash. It really significantly took a big drop in my business since the time when I was in Seattle. So, but what's interesting is I was sitting there going, God, I'm gonna have to get a job, you know, and go back to a W-2 because I just quit a W-2 that I had for years. Before that, I had worked at UPS for many years, and I was like, I'm about to have to go back to doing that, which is fine, but I didn't really want to. I enjoyed self-employment. So right around that time, I get a call from some people that moved up from California, and they had, you know, pretty big estate, and they needed a lot of help. And so I went, and of course I did the best job I could when I first given that first impression of being a really good worker, being a nice person. And that's where I came up with the whole good attitudes, having a good attitude. That's when that started, the Good Attitudes brand, or not brand, but that's the name I use for the service. At least that's for what I use for now. I mean, that could change, but that's what I use for now. Anyway, I like using that name when I put up ads. But that's where it came from, because by having that good attitude, having that, that work ethic and stuff, it went from one, because I know they were trying me out, as they knew that they needed someone on a regular basis, but they had me come in there and do work for like a whole day, and it ended up becoming more and more work because there was tons of stuff to do there. They were in a new place and needed a lot of things, kind of like just a lot of things like handyman type stuff, just assembling furniture, putting up their library, putting up pictures and moving things, unpacking their boxes, just all kinds of things. I was putting up the Christmas lights during Christmas, things like that. Just being around the house, they needed things done all the time because they had a lot of space, a lot of rooms and things, and they needed help with all that. And so it lasted, like, just the unpacking alone. Of course, I had to unpack everything and organize things and put the furniture together, and they had a lot of stuff assembled. It went on for years because they always needed something, so they needed extra help around the house. They always called me, so it went on for like 5 years. And so that one ad that I had, and they basically saved me during that time, during 2008, around that time, in a financial crisis, because things were really slow, and they paid me really good, paid me fairly, and they kept me working throughout that time. So I've always thought about that, and was very thankful for them to do that. And so when I get those customers where they're going to contact you and they need yard work or whatever it is, it could be beneficial just to, even if you're doing like just junk removal or moving, whatever it is, if you can do these other side jobs, they can keep you going. They kept me going for a long time. And then things of course picked up after that, and then I got into eventually was able to get the truck and start doing this. My point is that one customer can really help you, just if you go in there and do a really good job and have a really good attitude, and they see that, and they need more work around their house, or maybe a friend's house, or whatever it is, or if they need you to come back again, that one ad and doing that job can lead to a lifetime customer. In fact, I could have been working for them for longer than that, but I ended up moving back up to the north to Seattle, and then starting up there again. But occasionally I would go back and help them. But so I did less work with them because I moved out of the area. And that happened with another customer I had, where I started doing. They just wanted me to do some weeding and stuff, and, just different stuff, digging up like bamboo and weeds and things that are can be difficult that a landscaper may. Like landscapers may just go and mow and blow, but it was little things like that, like planting trees and things. And that customer lasted for years too, So I had several of those customers where that kind of work, they needed someone to come on a regular basis to do those special projects. That could have lasted even longer, but at that time, like I said, I was moving again from a different region, so I could have probably worked for them. I did moving for them too. For how many? I don't know. That was another 5 years. I could have done another 5 years. So some customers can last that long, not every day, but just on a regular basis. Just like when I got that customer, I would drove a pallet of materials for them. Then they wanted me to come back and do another one, and then another one, and then eventually, after 6 or 7 months, I can't remember how many months, they were able to get their own vehicle and do it themselves. But it lasted a while, and that saved me. So those 4 customers this year, where I had regular jobs for, really helped out during the slow times. So that's why when I go and do a job, I do it as best I can and have a really good attitude, and try to be as helpful and as efficient and everything as possible, because if you do that, that could be not just that day $100 or say $200 that day. It could go for years and be thousands and thousands of dollars, and you don't have to market for that. That was my other point, is that when you get that regular customer, it drops the amount of money you have to market. I think I've talked about this in a video before. You don't have to, every time they call you, you're not having to put up a $5 Craigslist ad or whatever ad, a Facebook ad or whatever it is that you pay for, or however you do that. You don't have to add that additional cost, because they're calling you just off that one ad. So there could be years of jobs that they're going to give you, and if you multiply that, like say you have one. Say I looked at some of my jobs, or one of my customers I was doing like 3 jobs a week for them, and the other one, say 1, so say 4. So say if I added kept adding like say 4 or 5 more customers that were like that, that means your whole schedule, your whole week is full, and you're not having to put any kind of marketing money into it. So that's kind of the best way I see, at least for me, that's how it works, is getting those customers that you're going to be going back and getting these regular jobs. And one of the customers too that is a property manager, those are great, especially when they own apartments or they're renting apartments out, that kind of thing, because they're always going to need people to come. You're always going to need you to come back to do something, because people move in and out of apartments. So that's about it. I think I just noticed that those are, like always, those type of customers are the ones that keep you going. And I know with junk removal, maybe you may have to do that, because a lot of those customers that I do regular work for, I don't just do junk removal. I'll do moving, pickup, delivery, yard maintenance, maybe like putting up lights. I've done that. They need external lights hanging, or some things like that, just things that you can do, like cleaning the gutters, doing some kind of specialty landscape stuff. So that would be if you're willing to go and do things additionally outside of, say, if you're just doing junk removal. Because I know a lot of junk removal companies, they pretty much get their marketing 100%, even their name, might be junk, like Junk Kings or 1-800-JUNK. The one that does do multiple things, I think, is College Hunks, where they do moving, junk removal, and delivery. And I think there's a couple others that do that, but most of them are just, if they do junk removal, it's just junk removal. I know there are a lot of junk removal companies that also do landscaping too. So it depends on how you look at it. If you want to market, if your company is just marketing it for one service, and they want to focus on that, that's great too. So you may not get that kind of customer, because if they ask you to do, hey, can you mow my lawn, or can you pull some weeds, or can you rake that, or do this, or can you clean the gutters, you may say, well, I don't do that, I'll refer you to someone else. But I'm open to doing that, because it's just me. Since it's just a one-man show, I'm willing to do that kind of work, because I like that, and it fills in a lot of the gaps, since I don't have a lot of money to market. So but I do like junk removal, and I do like those jobs, and I had quite a few good ones last year. There was a couple that actually, one that, that was another one. Yeah, there was one that started out with one, because they were moving. It was like one haul, and then they go, I want to get this stuff donated, and then another haul, and then another haul. So it was like 4 hauls just from 4 separate hauls from one customer. So even in that case, you can do multiple hauls, because they may think that they're going to take some stuff with them and then realize, no, I'm not going to take that, and I'll just have him take it to the donation place. So in that case, that worked out pretty good for that one. And I'm hoping to get a, real soon here, a good, I like the storage removals, storage clean outs, and the garage clean outs, that kind of thing. So I don't have anything booked this coming up here. I got some things I got to take care of. I got to do some repairs, some major repairs on my car. That's priority, because I'm also using my car for deliveries. That's a separate business, or not separate business, but that's outside of what I'm doing with the truck. But I have to get a pretty major repair on that car, so that's going to be hopefully this week. And there are some jobs that are coming in. I've already seen a couple jobs come for the truck that I could have taken. It just didn't work out, but I noticed the jobs are starting to come in a little bit more, and so I think it's going to be a pretty decent year. So I think it's starting out good. So I hope all you guys are doing great out there, and enjoying. Well, it depends on what part of the country you're at, because the weather's different everywhere. And here it's nice. It could be raining. I've heard it's a lot of rain going on in the Midwest, and it's getting hot. I heard it's pretty hot in the Southwest. So right here, this is perfect weather. This is like, if the weather could be like if you could be where I'm at right now, I don't know, I think it's like 65 degrees or something like that. Maybe, I don't think it's 70, but it's like below 70. But it's cool, it's nice, it's just, I don't know, I can't explain it, but this kind of weather, I could take this weather all year long. But of course, we get seasons out here, so can't happen that way all the time. So you got to enjoy it while you can. I hope you're enjoying this springtime, and you're going to be kicking off into a good year, because spring, followed by summer and fall, those are like the most amazing times for these type of businesses, for junk removal, moving, landscaping, any kind of hauling or delivery, or anything like that. It's going to be your time of year. Not saying you can't get it in the wintertime, but the jobs come in too in the wintertime, but they do come in more because of spring cleanup, especially for junk removal. People are, after the winter time, in areas like where I live, where it gets snow and it's cold, and when the spring comes around, people start looking around their yard and going, God, I want to get rid of that, I want to get rid of that. I mean, I got stuff I got to get rid of here. And then they start cutting their lawn and trimming things and getting ready for their, for their planting or whatever. There's things they got to get removed and get that ready to go. So it's a good time of year. I'm gonna go back inside. I just wanted to do a little chat here. This is Daryl at 10 Foot Truck Good Attitudes Services, signing out.